Hello, everyone. That's Scout's nose over there. Scout, say hi. This is one of the dogs I sit. Oh, hi. Okay, and I guess Fenway wants to say hi now too. It's another dog I sit. And then my dog that I adopted from the shelter, Effie, wants to play fetch with me. But I'm not here to talk about that. So I know one of the first things I said, go away. One of the first things I said on my first episode that I was going to talk about was the fact that I have borderline personality disorder, which is a very in-depth disorder, and I think I'm going to have to do a few episodes to really focus on each part of it. But I'm just going to begin by saying that BPD, which is short for borderline personality disorder, the name really does not properly describe it. When you say I have borderline personality disorder, when you say borderline, that sounds like you're borderline psychotic or you're, have multiple personality disorder. I don't know. It's not a very telling name. It is a disorder and it is a personality disorder, but I don't know where borderline came from because it's just not accurate at all. So I think I'll start with the root cause of BPD. It's not necessarily genetic. It's not primarily genetic. Definitely if it is in your biology and then the prompting event happens, then you're more prone for it to happen. I know that if I had a child, which I'll never have a kid, they would have a 1 in 8 chance of being susceptible to, having it triggered and having BPD. But the triggering event is basically adolescent or trauma in adolescence or early adulthood, which I've had a lot of different types of trauma. Personally, it can really be anything, but I know where the main source of it occurs in BPD is things that are abandonment related. So like if you didn't have a father growing up, which I didn't, or if your parents got divorced, or if you moved to a new school, like anything like that could definitely prompt it. I did not have a father growing up, which I don't really personally care about, and like people probably think I'm suppressing issues about it, but I feel like I'm pretty in tune with who I am. I had my mom and my grandmother. I feel that my sense of abandonment came from the fact that I lived with my mom and my grandmother until I was 12, and then they couldn't live together anymore because my mother was a hoarder, and they basically like divorced, and they were like my parental unit, my mom and my grandmother, and they separated and moved into 2 different houses, which then I was moving back and forth between their houses like a divorce. And then at the same time, both of their boyfriends moved into their new homes. So I didn't really have either one of them to myself anymore like I used to. It used to be the 3 of us together and I had them completely to myself, and now I didn't have either of them. And also the next year I moved, my Quaker school that I went to for 8 years stopped at 8th grade, and I did not get into the private high school I applied to. So I had to go to New North Public School, which sucked. And I didn't know anyone there, and the whole Quaker, mindset is to just be nice to everyone. It's basically accept everyone for who they are and, don't leave anyone behind, and, to respect people. And New North did not, and I didn't know anyone, and I went from this tiny, small, like, really supportive school to just this big school where everyone was a fucking bully. So this all happened like within 1 year, losing both my parents essentially, and then being in a new aggressive environment for school. So I think that's definitely for me what triggered all this trauma. There was also, that was my trauma connected to abandonment, but You know, any sort of trauma on top of that can absolutely, you know, build up to BPD. Like I had 8 surgeries on my left inner thigh between being born and 10 years old. So every like year and a half, sometimes 2 surgeries in a year. Right in my like groin. I had precancerous skin. So that translated to child abuse or, you know, sexual abuse because it was in such a, I mean, it's right next to my vagina. I mean, it's really just, I was constantly being worked on there and, you know, violated. And they say kids that are in and out of hospitals when they're younger, it does translate to child abuse because you're constantly being hurt and there's no reason why. You didn't do anything wrong and you don't really understand why. It's just something that happens, which is, you know, the same case with, you know, violence in a household. So I think that's what I'll just begin with today. That's where kind of the root cause of BPD stems from. And then next week I will go more into, you know, what those issues kind of branch off into, what the symptoms they cause in BPD. All right, hope I was helpful. I'm a little sick, so I'm a little foggy, and I have 3 dogs all trying to hump each other around here. So, okay, leave comments, questions, whatever you need, and I'd be happy to answer them if I didn't get to them today.